Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. First I want to start off by apologizing for my air conditioner that's running. It is really hot outside and I can't shut it off. So I'm going to have to talk through it, so if you guys can stick with me. Today's tutorial is this bag. I've got it lined. Nice and pretty. Alright. So this is made by just sewing, or well, slip stitching granny squares together, front and back, and then I glued a piece of fabric in the middle. So let's talk about what we're going to need. You are going to need a 5mm hook. You are going to need a pair of scissors. Okay, you're going to need one skein of a variegated and one solid that matches. Now I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. This is the color Antique Teal. And then the variegated I chose was, I love this yarn in Prairie Grass. And then from Walmart, I got one of these packs of 1 yard, 100% cotton fabric. Now I did this really pretty yellow, so something that's got a little bit of texture, I'm gonna say, not texture, a little bit of a design, nothing too elaborate on the inside, really makes that pop. So you're gonna need that. Let's see, I think that's pretty much it. Oh, you're gonna need some okay, so you're gonna need liquid stitch or fabric tack or needle and thread, and what depends on that is how you decide to attach your fabric to your bag. Now I use my sewing machine to work a seam around the edge of my fabric just to straighten up the edge after we cut it. Forgot a piece right there. You don't have to do that. You can use the liquid stitch or fabric tack. They got that at Walmart. It's washable. Pretty much all I did was just glue it to my bag, and there we go. I mean, I think it looks great. So that part is really easy, actually. And then some old purse straps, or I have a tutorial that I made a water bottle holder, and I made my own straps, so I'm gonna link that in the description box so you guys can watch that video. If you do decide to make your own strap, whichever color yarn you decide to make it out of, I'd grab another skein of it just so you have enough. And pretty sure that is it. Alright, so you guys get your stuff together and let's get started. Alright, to get started on our bag, we are going to get a slip knot on our hook. And we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Slip stitch to the very first chain to form a ring. Just like that. Now we're going to chain 1, and we're going to work 3 double crochet right back into that ring. So 1, 2, and 3. And make sure you're working over this tail, because this tail is what we're going to pull to tighten to close up this circle in the center. Now we're going to chain 2, and that's our corner. And so we need 4 corners. So start again with 3 doubles. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. There's 2 corners. Of course, somebody decided they wanted to lay right on my yarn. Okay, so we have 2 corners. So we work 3 doubles, 2 and 3, chain 2. There's 3 corners. So 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, and there's 4 corners. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to slip stitch back to our first double right here. Slip stitch right in there. And when we pull that tail, we close up that center. Now I will close that up a little bit more in a little bit, but okay, so now we move on to round 2, and this is what we're going to repeat, the round we're going to repeat. So we're going to double crochet into each double until the next chain 2 space. So that means we're going to double crochet right back into that double that we slip stitched into, right back in there, and into each double until our chain 2 corner space. So it's only 2 more doubles we need to double into, and then we're to our corner. So our corner is 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 doubles. So 1, 2, chain 2, and then 2 doubles right back in there. Now we double into each double until the next chain 2 space. So that's 2, and the reason I'm saying that like that is because the next rounds that we repeat, the count is going to be different, so that's why I'm saying it like that. So the repeat is just to double crochet into each double until your chain 2 space, which is where we are. So now we're going to work our corner again, which is 2 doubles, chain 2, and 2 doubles, and now we double into each double. Oh, I'm sorry, I went right past it. Alright, so we doubled into each double, and now we're on our corner. So there's 1 I already did, 2, chain 2, 2 doubles, 1 double into each double, and then we're to our last corner. So we work our 2 doubles, chain 2, and then right back in there with 2 more doubles. Alright, now we're back to our beginning, so we're just going to slip stitch into that very first double crochet. Okay? And then you're going to just repeat round 2 again and again for a total of 4 rounds. So you have round 1, round 2 we just worked, repeat 2, 1, 2 more times, slip stitch to your beginning double crochet, chain 1, and fasten off. And that's just a simple little pattern for these pretty sturdy little blocks. Now for my 24, I worked 12 in this color and 12 in the variegated. Yeah, the antique teal and the prairie grass. So I worked 12 of each, okay? So get your blocks done and come back here, and we are going to work on slip stitching these together. Okay, so now that you have all of your squares worked up, we're going to start with slip stitching our squares together. Now here's the thing, I don't have enough room right here to lay out all of my 24 blocks for the bag, so I'm going to insert a picture right here of how you need to lay your blocks out, okay? All right, so now that you get your blocks laid out the way our picture is, what we're going to do is we're going to work, if you look at the picture or like your blocks, how they're laid out, we have straight lines. Well, it's supposed to be straight lines going this way, and we have straight lines going this way. Now, it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter, you know, at the bottom, at the top, in the middle. All we're going to do is just slip stitch an entire line one direction and just keep doing that, and then set everything back down the way we had it, and then start from the other direction. So it's a pretty simple, I shouldn't say simple, it's a pretty easy to do this. It's just it's also pretty easy to get confused and get lost. So what we're gonna do, Church's foot's moving my block. We're gonna get a slip knot on our hook. Okay. Now, like I said, I don't have all my blocks laid out right here because I don't have enough room. But I'm gonna get you started, and then I'm gonna let you guys go. So what you're gonna do is wherever you decide to start, take your 2 blocks. Like I'm working on this line right here. Okay. So I'm just gonna fold or lay my blocks on top of each other, right sides together. Okay. And I'm gonna pick them up. And the way I'm gonna pick them up, and I'm doing this to help you guys not get confused on where you're at, but I'm just gonna grab where I'm going to be slip stitching, and that's where I'm gonna be working. So I'm not gonna let go of this, because this helps me remember this is the seam that I'm following along my bag. It's the same concept with quilting or sewing quilt blocks together. You always grab where you're gonna sew. Alright, so I'm gonna go into the back loop. Well, let me start over. Alright, so here is where we're sewing or slip stitching. Okay, now we're gonna start in this corner. Okay, so we need to remember there's 2 chains in this corner. Well, one chain is going to be worked for this side, and one chain is going to be worked for this side. So I'm going to start in that chain that's going for this side. And I'm going to go into the loops. So like if I hold this together, the loops that are up on each side, that are facing up. So like you have the ones that are up. Let me get it. So you have the loops that are up on each block, and then you have the ones that are to the inside, right? Where you're going to be working into these, which are the back loops. Okay, so I'm going to go into the back loop of each chain first, and now I'm just going to slip stitch right through there. Tighten that up. And now that's what I'm just going to continue doing across. I'm going to pick up the back loop of each block, and we're going to slip stitch. Now be aware not to work that slip stitch too tight, or the block is going to be kind of pinched in the center. So just slip stitch, catch in each loop, here and here, here and here, here and here. Now I'm up to, well, let's go ahead and catch this loop. And now on this side is the slip stitch where we used to that we did at the end of our block, right? Well, right next to it is actually the top of that double crochet, but it's just a little smaller because it's got that extra slip stitch hanging in there. So I am going to slide right through there to catch that back loop of that next one. Next one. And now I'm to this side. And it's in there. Just gotta tug a little bit. There it is. And through this one. And now I'm just gonna skip right over that because we've already worked into that one. Slip stitch. Nice and easy. And now we have 1 double crochet before we get to that chain. So if you happen to have like one on 1 double crochet left on one block, and then let's say you have 2 on the other block, go ahead and start it over because it needs to be the same stitch count. Alright, so go into this one and to this one, and if you don't want to, just skip, pull out a couple, and whichever one you have 2 left on, skip one and then go into the next, and then by the time you get to your chain you should be even. Alright, so now we're going to go into that chain and slip stitch there. So we're done with these 2 blocks. So I'm going to set this down, and now the next 2 lay on top of each other. Cat hair. I'm going to grab where the seam that we're going to be slip stitching. And now remember the chain that's meant for this side and the chain that's meant for this side. I'm going to go into that top loop or the back loop of that chain, slip stitch. Now I'm going to work that one just a tad bit tighter because I want my blocks to stay together. Alright, now I'm just going to keep working that. And something else that's really going to help out a lot is if you take a picture of the way that you lay your blocks out, lay them out like the picture that I had in the video, or I have in the video, and then take a picture of how yours are, and then whenever you're sewing this together, have that picture close to you so you can lay your blocks back out the way that your picture was. So like that. Okay? And that's what we're going to follow for this entire bag. We're going to work all of our seams one direction, and then we're going to stop and work our seams the other direction. Now, it's not going to be a continuous, all one piece. You're going to have to start, stop, and stop, and weave in your ends. And I'm going to show you that in just a second, because what I'm doing right now is actually one of the smaller seams we're going to be slip stitching. Alright, I have 1 double crochet left right here. Okay, so that is, I'll pull that up. That is all of the the seam. That's all the seam that I have for right here. Okay, I don't have any more to add to that, so that's just one of the two square seams we're gonna have. So this is how we're gonna fasten it off. Okay, and this is at the end of all your seams. We're gonna chain 1, pull up a loop, cut, just like that, and then you can weave it in now, you can weave it in later, however you want to. And the same with this end, weave it in now, weave it in later. Okay, so let's pretend all of our seams going this direction are done. Okay, so here's the easy part. Now all you got to do is pick up your seam, flip it this way. Remember, grab where you're sewing, and then attach, single crochet across, and I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I will meet you guys when I get to the intersection right here. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and I attached just like we did before, slip stitched across, and I'm just now coming to that intersection. So I worked into my last double right there. So now what I have left is that chain that we didn't work. Can you see it right there? That's left open from when we worked the different direction. So all I'm going to do is just go straight into that loop from that chain on both sides, slip stitch, and then I'm going to come straight across, and right there is the next chain. You see the bottom bump? See the bottom bump right there? I'm just going to catch that loop. Where's my chain at? There. See it right there? Catch that loop. Get in there. And I'm going to loosely slip stitch. And then just start slip stitching into net each double right across. So our intersection right there, it's nice and neat. And that's it. That's what we're gonna follow for sewing all those seams together in both directions. So mine goes like that. Okay? It's a nice, neat, and pretty seam. So get all of your blocks sewn together, and if you guys mess up, it's not a big deal. Nobody's gonna notice. Your bag is gonna be beautiful regardless. Don't get too worked up about sewing these together. The best thing, like I said, is to take a picture and watch your block placement. You know, just keep referring back to that picture. Alright? So get all your blocks sewn together, go all seams one direction, and once you get that done, then it's easier to do all the seams a different direction. Okay, so get your guys' blocks sewn together and come back here and we're going to move on. Okay guys, I'm back. Real quick, I didn't shut my air conditioner off because it's like 100 and some degrees outside and it is too hot to shut it off. So I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can. I got all mine sewn together. That's the back. There's the front. I got all mine sewn together. That was, whew, glad that part's over. That's the hardest part. Get that over with. Now I want to talk to you real quick about sewing in your ends or weaving in your ends. So like at these points where you have two starts next to each other, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take those and tie them in a knot. And then weave in my ends. So then whenever we sew that together, it makes that nice corner right there. Also, if you did use two different colors like I did, don't weave your one color through your other color. Like I wouldn't weave. I'm only going to weave these into the dark blocks. I'm not going to weave those into the colored blocks. Pretty much just because you can see it, and it's a huge pet peeve of mine. Okay, so after I get those ends weave in, I am gonna hit this with a little bit of steam. Now I'm not blocking it, I'm just gonna hit it with a little bit of steam to get those stitches to kind of release. Think of it like if you got a stiff muscle and a hot bath kind of helps that loosen that up just a tad bit. That's all I'm gonna do. You don't have to do this. I just want to do it to get these squares to lay nice and neat. I cannot wait. This is going to be so pretty. Okay, so go ahead, finish. Oh, I forgot to mention too, at your center points, where usually we were just slip stitching cross points, but when you come to a four-way, you just do that same thing. You just jump over like it's not even there and just go into the next part of the chain and keep going. I should have mentioned that earlier. I'm sorry. Hindsight. Alright, go ahead and get your ends weaved in. Hit yours with a little bit of steam if you choose to. If not, get back here and we are going to move on to the next step. Okay guys, I'm back. I hit my bag with a little bit of steam. Here, let me move this. Got all my ends weaved in. It's nice and pretty. This is the back. That's the front. Am I the only one? But when I look at this, I cannot help but see a rug. I don't know why, but I see a rug. Anyhow. Okay, so the next step that we're going to do, we are going to cut the lining fabric if you choose to do a lining. And you most definitely do not have to. I mean, this is really pretty the way it is, right? So, you don't want a lining, don't do it. Don't worry about it. Alright, so what I did, I'm going to insert a picture here. Okay, so what I did was I laid my material, my fabric, I laid it out flat, okay? I set this on top of it, And then I took a pin and just followed all the way around. I didn't do anything nice and pretty and fancy. I just traced it and cut it out. And this is my piece I have. I didn't iron this either, which I probably should have, but that's alright. I'm not too worried about it. I mean, it's going to be in a bag, so it's not going to be nice and pretty and seen anyway. But what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to use my sewing machine, is I am going to sew a 1/2 inch to a 1/4 inch, I don't know which one I'm going to do yet, seam around the edge. And basically all that's going to do is just fold that seam right there and make it nice and pretty. That's all that's going to do. Now if you want to do a lining, you don't have a sewing machine, or you don't have a you don't want to sew it, another thing you could do is Walmart sells, and Amazon sells, liquid stitch. I think they might even have it at Dollar General. I'm not 100% sure. But they have what's called liquid stitch. And all you'd have to do, and it is machine washable and all that, is just fold your material over at the, just kind of make sure it's all at a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, however long you want it. And then just run a bead of glue underneath that. And then just let it set and let it dry. There you go. And you could do that same thing, use that same method to attach your lining to your bag. Like run it along, like run the bead along here, and then I'd even, kind of, because it dries clear. I mean, you can't see it, so I would just, go back and forth on this. Take your material, set it on there, let it set for a few hours, and then sew your bag together, and there you go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and sew a seam around this edge, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. I went ahead and worked my seam around my edge, and it was about a 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. I didn't do a great job. I mean, any of the sewers out there, don't laugh at me. Now, you can use needle and thread and hand sew this all the way around. I'm not going to. I'm going to take the advice I gave you guys earlier, and I'm going to use my fabric tack. I mean, I have my liquid stitch, but that's all I have, so I'm going to go ahead and use my fabric tack, and I'm going to run a bead all the way around. And before I close it off, I'm going to get in here and drizzle around, and then push my fabric back on top. And like I said, this dries clear. You can't see it. You can wash it and all that. So laying out your fabric on top of your piece, make sure you're not blocking these corners or the tops of your double crochets. Like right there, that needs to come back. We can't block our corners or anything like that, all right? So go ahead and glue yours down. If you want to hand sew it, go ahead and hand sew it, but I'm going to use my fabric tack, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I got my lining glued down. Picking it up to show you guys. I did let it dry for a while, squirted a whole bunch in there all along the edge, and it's great. It's perfect. See? Alright, what we're going to do now is flip this completely over. Does that not look like a rug to you? I don't know why. Something about this is making me think of a rug. I don't know. I think I'm going to make a rug out of this. Anyway, out of this yarn I meant. What we're going to do, so if you hold, let me move you back. Okay. Alright, so here is the top of our bag, and here is the bottom of our bag. We're going to take our two bottoms, bring it up to our two tops. Okay? So right there is the top of our bag. Now go ahead, and I'm going to flip this over because I want to see on the sides right here how these two squares are left open. That is what we are going to slip stitch closed. Okay? So fold it in half, right sides of your squares together, And then if you're, you need to flip it over to make sure these two little squares are left open, like there's not another square covering them, so the right sides are still up. All right, now what we're going to do is get our yarn, get a slip knot on your hook. Oh, I forgot to shut the air off. I apologize, guys. I really wish I could just, always leave it off, but it is just too hot up here. Okay, so we are going to start with one of our sides, doesn't matter which one, but you notice you have two blocks pinched together right here. Not pinched together, but I mean laying on top of each other. So we're going to slip stitch, just like we did our squares together, up this. Then we're going to get here and we're going to switch to this side and this side. Slip stitch that close and then come to this side. Alright, so to get started, get a slip knot on your hook. I got an itch. Alright, and we are going to go, so remember the chain we left open to go down the next side. Well, we're going to go right into that loop and one loop of this chain. I got a hold of some there, and slip stitch. Now the same way we did our squares together, the back loops, but both sides, just slip stitch, stitch for stitch. This one and this one. Now work this all the way up, and I'll meet you when we get to this point, our chain point right there. Alright, now if you look, I have a double left and a double left on each side. So now I only have one chain left on this side, and now this one we haven't worked into either of them. Well, the one coming from this way is going to get worked on this. So there's that corner. I'm getting tangled up in my yarn and stuff. Alright, so now we're going to make the turn. We've already worked into this chain on this block, so we're going to go into the next chain and then make our turn on our top block and come into the next chain. Alright, now we're just going to start slip stitching all the way down this side. There we go. Alright, I'm going to get to this corner right here, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have two doubles left on that one, and one double left. I messed up somewhere, so I'm going to back that out. And I'm going to skip one on my blue side because that's where I had one too many left. Now it should be even. One on this side and one double left on that side. Alright, now I'm going to go into the top loop of my chain. I have one chain left on this side, so the top loop of this chain, slip stitch, and now we are slip stitching this side and this side together. So I have one chain left on this side and one chain left on this, so I'm going to go into this loop, into this loop, slip stitch, and then just keep going along like we have been. Alright, I am going to meet you at the next corner, right here. Alright, I'm coming to the corner right here. I have 3 doubles on this side, 3 doubles on this side. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to go into my chain that I have left here and the chain here. Now this is where we're going to end on our corner right here, and then this is going to be the opening of our bag. But I am going to secure mine just a tad bit more than just a slip stitch right there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come over, and I'm going to slip stitch through both of my blocks that are going to be open right here, just to tighten that up a little bit, because I don't want it to be a huge gap. Cut. Now I'm going to weave in my ends, and then we're going to repeat on the other side. So I'm going to let you guys repeat this other side. So you start here, here, and here. Okay? So go ahead and repeat that, and I will meet you guys when you get that done. Okay guys, so I sewed in our ends, weaved in our ends, got my other end sewed up, flipped it inside out, and there is our bag. Now, I realize with the handle part, I realize everybody's going to have different handles. I have a tutorial that I did a water bottle holder, I think, and I did a handle I made myself. So I'm going to link that video in the description box, and then you guys can find that part where I show you guys how to make the handle. Now, what I was saying was that I know everybody's are different, so I'm going to let you guys attach your purse handles however you can. I mean, everybody's purse handles are going to be made different. So mine, I went ahead and attached this side. And one on this side, and I thought I'll just go ahead and stop and then show you guys how I attached mine. It's real simple. So I just pinch mine in half and go right into that last chain 2 space. Now I'm utilizing the button that was here, the little buttonhole that was there before I tore this off. So I'm going to try to make that right in the middle. So that buttonhole, or that hole, I can go right straight through. Alright, so there's that. Now what I did is get my button, and now I have a needle here with a thread on it, because I cannot get the yarn through the buttonhole. So I put the needle through with the thread, and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to tie it to the end of a piece of my yarn. And again, guys, I want to apologize for the air conditioner. It is like 102 degrees outside, and I can't shut my air conditioner off to film. Okay, so just tie my thread to the piece of yarn and pull. I hope this is going to go through, because the buttonhole on this is kind of messed up. Oh, there it went. And then I pull it through there. Alright, cut that off. So now what I'm going to do is get my thicker needle, and I'm going to get both of my strands of yarn on there. Oh, missed one. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the button, or the hole, with that and pull tight. Okay, so now I'm gonna use another needle. Now this is just a I think it's an upholstery needle. It's got a little bit bigger of an eye and it's pretty dang sharp. So I am going to go ahead and get, I don't think I can get both. No, I'm just gonna do one at a time. Get that weaved in there. Now I'm gonna pinch this back in half. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push on this buttonhole real hard so it leaves a little indent on my flap. Like right there, see it? And I'm just going to shove that right through there. Wiggle. And do the same thing for my other strand. Try to go right through there without making a new hole. If I go through some of the yarn, that's fine, no big deal. Okay. Alright, now I'm going to pull tight. I'm going to tie a couple knots. One more time. All right. Now all I did to hide these ends is just kind of finagle them around. I didn't do anything fancy. So I'm just going to run it right through the center and back around a few times. Okay, pull that tight, snip that, tuck that inside, and that is all I did. And there is my bag. I think this is cute. Trying to think of anything else I wanted to say, and I don't think so. I think that was it. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so very much for watching. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave me a comment because I always love reading your guys' comments. Let me know what you think. And join my Facebook group or follow me on Instagram or Twitter. Make this. Tag me in it because I want to see it. Alright guys, that is it for me. Check out the description box. I got all kinds of goodies down there for you guys. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.